If you asked me, what can you say that you liked from all the Power Ranger seasons, including the seasons that you hate? It would be the command centers, bases, or basements, whatever term you want to call them. They fit in the theme of the season, and I've never seen them really copy each other, so I really can't say any of them suck.
Jungle Karma Pizza.
This was the show's first food base of operations. I think it was more interesting design than the Dinobite. The Dinobite was more gray, while Jungle Karma was a tropical theme. It felt more lively. I think it was also that the store was more smaller so that it didn't look that empty. It's a great cover, it keeps the Rangers busy and focused, so it works as a good teaching platform, except when they have to go run off. The second floor is the meat of the place. It's basically a smaller version of a YMCA. It has your lookout area, all of RJ's crummy TV sets that monitor the city, the basketball court, which I always call exposition zone, pool table, a book reading area, a kitchen. The upper level wasn't all that used. I wondered how the Rangers focus sometimes. They have all this fun stuff around them. You can also see trophies and a bike mounted on a wall. Maybe RJ used to be like Dustin. That could have been how he met his Ranger connections. That's my headcanon. It's a really thought out set. It's an interesting room to look at. It's big, it throws in some stuff that, if you pay attention to, gives you hints, like there's a white rhino on the second floor foreshadowing Dominic. Fulfilling its role as command center, it does its job.
Magical Realm.
Udana's tree home, there's not much to it. It has a balcony, a central console with a crystal ball, very reminiscent to the viewing globe, the stand that holds the Xenotome, a couple of other rooms, one for Fireheart, one for Claire, presumably 2 other rooms for Udana and Daggeron, and one area that holds the brooms. The way you get into the tree is from a giant dragon head and an elevator. This command center is probably the most colorful. It has all the Ranger colors on stained glass, mainly to offset the brown color, which makes the set very dark. You could see some potion bottles so Udana and others can do more manual magic with a cauldron. The place does have some tech, a computer station and a few light consoles, but they basically never use them. One thing I really hate with command centers is when they don't use everything at least once. It's just a waste in design. No real hidden secrets, which is kind of disappointing. I always like looking for small things. You'd think there'd be one area that has Daggeron's S emblem somewhere in the room. Probably my favorite area is the balcony. You got a good view. It was a good exposition spot for Chip and Vita. I just wish it was used more.
Shiba House.
For all the complaints and hatred towards samurai give the seasons, the base was a really nice place. Of course, it fits into the Japanese aesthetic. Very similar to RJ's place, it has all the main requirements of a base, a table that can project a virtual map. That was a cool design. Sometimes having in-jokes. I recall seeing places called Pine Forest and Kirk Park. A kitchen, a small training area, lots of small details like the samurai armor, which they should have replaced with the battle laser armor later on. The outside of the house was the best thing. They had a really nice open area for practice, a barbecue, and it was a new location that we haven't seen before, which doesn't happen all that much when filming in New Zealand for 15 years. Finally, they shot some of the scenes at nighttime. I love when the show does locations at different times. It's one thing I would have loved to have seen with the original command center. Days where it was raining or at nighttime. It makes the place more alive versus stock footage, and more stock footage.
Hartford's basement.
This is probably the smallest main base since the original command center. A fair bit of elements were carried over from Bowcatcher's base, going underground, a large TV screen, the globe projecting information like Bowcatcher's yellow table. It's a good design. My favorite part is the ceiling and the globe. It had this cool pentagon shape, plus the globe's image generator in the center. Too bad we don't get to see that much. The floor has a large compass, which was a nice tie-in to the World Search theme. I was surprised the base is mostly devoid of Ranger colors. Sometimes I just like simplistic designs.
Delta Command Base.
Not the first time the base was a Megazord. The one style I think PR does really good is mimicking Star Trek's look. SPD's command room is more darker than past command centers, mainly blue. It has a holographic projector console in the middle, wall stations that look pretty much identical. I guess anyone could go to a station and load up their specific job without needing to go to a certain place. Doggy Kruger has a personal console which activates the Delta Command Megazord. The set does feel like a militaristic location, not much on design, very bland looking, really different to the Decker Ranger control room, which I found odd when they still use the shot when Kruger spins into the Delta Command cockpit. You can see the contrast in designs really easily. I'm not knocking the look because they went for a bland design. I like it for that reason. It fits into the way they wanted to do SPD, just like how Decker Ranger's command room was more brighter for their direction. My only real gripe is that the place is too blue. Doggy doesn't really stand out and kind of gets muted whenever he has scenes in there. He looks better in regular daylight for me.
Tommy's basement.
I'm glad they didn't try to copy the original command center when making his underground base. That could have been the obvious thing to have tried first. The look fits into the whole paleontology theme, but I mainly thought more Egyptian than dinosaurs. The main action is on the upper stairs with the computer system. I did get annoyed that they recycled a few bits from Cam's Ninja Ops computer. I don't see the point of having that many screens, but it makes good when they do the big screensaver. The base uses the key designs and logos from the suits. The foot emblem is everywhere, but not flooding the room, and they have the wispy lines, I call it that. That's pretty much on everything. The morphers, most of the energy effects. There's a cleaning station in the back of the room and a small statue of a Dimetrodon, giving a little bit of foreshadow. I always wonder why they picked that one versus any of the other dinosaurs. I was disappointed when there was nothing referencing MMPR. It would have been nice if Tommy had one thing that was on display, nothing major like an old communicator. There's one dinosaur in a wall, the main staircase that goes back to Tommy's house, which they never really show past the pilot, and of course the exit door for the vehicles. In a lot of ways, Tommy's basement is very similar to the Batcave. Doors open with hidden levers, a staircase that heads back to a house, a secret passageway for cars, and the wall of computer screens, which is why they joke on it in the episode.
Aqua Base.
I really like this place. It wasn't just one good looking area, it was a lot of room, so you really have to count the whole base as the command center versus other seasons like SPD. Really colorful consoles, each one had different stuff going on. Some of them do sonar, things animate and aren't stationary. You always felt like you were underwater with the shimmering effect. Bulkheads, porthole doors, you name it. Captain Mitchell had his own office, and there's a briefing room. This is probably the most Star Trek influence the show has done, right down to a fish tank. They have a testing facility for building and running their equipment, the launch bay for the truck, and my favorite, the underwater entrance. They did a lot of nice stuff with such a small budget, which is one thing I could say for PR. The look usually never suffers.
Power chamber.
I decided on the power chamber from Turbo over the Zeo version, mainly because of the MMPR wall cases. I totally understand why it was there, but from a story's point of view, it made no sense. The powers were destroyed, so they can't be there. So when Turbo updated the set, I preferred that look. And it's not just the display tubes, it had other changes, mainly the lighting. In Zeo's, it was dark. Turbo was a lot more brighter, it was easier to see how it all looked like. The power chamber kind of felt like how the X-Men comics did the Danger Room and the main areas. It went for tech/machinery look. Fitting in with Zeo's theme, it has an alcove for Alpha recharging, where the original command center had this thing that lowered down. Also, it enclosed him. I bet Alpha wanted to do that after what Tommy did in Green with Evil. Zordon's tube was much higher up, gives him more of a commanding presence, but I did like the way the old command center did it, where we could see the Rangers near him. It had a lot more detail compared to the original command center, which was the only drawback from the old one. I also like how the alarm was done. It was a continuation of the classic alarm, but had this cool vertical spin. I don't think I've ever seen any alarm system do that before and since. The power chamber kept the core elements of the original center and improved upon the rest 100%.
RPM garage.
Another command center thought out really good. It has pretty much anything you'd need. I like that the place was broken into zones. The regular area where they keep the cars, it's lit in the show's orange light, conserving energy for less important rooms. Why did you have a pool table in there when people can be doing work on cars? I get annoyed at the noise. The other area I call the clean room, where Dr. K builds everything or does repairs on the Ranger's suits. I love that they brought back the suit displays, even gave them a purpose. They're basically giant charging stands. I always looked out if they goofed up and had a suit in there while the Ranger was out in the field. Never happened. The repair room also doubles as a testing range. There's target boards, a body scanner, and the human gyroscope machine. It even houses an arboretum in the ceiling. I guess Dr. K is experimenting on trying to get plants to grow outside the city. Kay's lab is probably my favorite computer setup. Computers are everywhere so that she can run to one if she gets an idea, fitting in her weird personality. Why you need 3 keyboards and RCA wires hooked up, I'll never know. The room is filled with so much junk. What are those crystal balls for? And this thing looks like the TARDIS.
Astro Megaship.
The Megaship bridge and all the other rooms scream Star Trek so much. If it works, it works, and it worked great for its space. Literally cut off everything from Earth. It's nice and bright. The panels were simple. They didn't have that many video screens, but you could see each thing did something important. Deca was a nice addition to Power Rangers, gave someone else for Alpha to work with or get annoyed by. The Helm console had these 2 big handles where people could find the ship manually, giving you that tactical feedback whenever they were in a fight. I think the reason why I liked the Megaship sets was because they were otherworldly. This was the first where the Rangers weren't at home with Zordon / Demetria, guiding them, dealing with a not-so-likable Red Ranger, and trying to pick up the pieces after what Divatox did. Another thing, if you rewatch Space, you'll notice that the bridge scenes look a little bit smoother than usual. It's because they shot the bridge footage at a slightly faster frames per second, higher than the usual 24 FPS, but not too high to cause the soap opera effect at 60 FPS. Overall, I really liked the detail put into the Astro Megaship from the bridge to the engine room, especially for a show that was supposed to have been canceled at the end of this season. I was glad that the Megaship was used one more time in Lost Galaxy, and that Andros built a second version of the ship after it was blown up. I would have really liked to have seen the Megaship again in the show, either as a small joke, I was looking out for it on the Galaxy Warrior ship in Ninja Steel, or just passing by. When it comes to set designs, I can't think of any time that I outright hated it on PR. Even the Gosei set, I didn't mind it being simple or flat. They just didn't do much with it. Other runner-ups that I would have picked are the Clock Tower from Time Force, Ninja Ops in Ninja Storm, and the MMPR Movie Command Center. What are your favorite bases? And if you have a suggestion on a future topic you'd like me to do, leave a comment down below. Next week, my top 10 monster generals.